Yeah, it kind of comes back to what you said earlier about Neo in the Matrix. It's like you've already chosen it. The bigger question is why?
Yeah. What am I here to
Why
discover?
did I choose it? What am I here to learn about myself that I didn't formerly know?
Yeah.
And having an openness and committing and recommitting to being teachable,
Yeah.
such an important aspect of this.
Yeah, and I think within that, because it becomes a little bit of a sensitive subject when certain things are happening out there that were, truly abhorrent. It's not to condone behavior, because it's not so much that I become passive and accepting whatever someone is doing to me. The choice that you're learning may be to remove yourself from a circumstance that you actually are no longer willing to sustain, that you're not willing to tolerate. So that might be the lesson. It's not to condone the behavior, the heinous acts that can unfortunately happen regularly out there, but it's my lesson might be to recognize my own worth, which is that I no longer am willing to withstand this kind of abuse.
And the challenge is as well that, if you, in this matrix where we attract everything we judge until we no longer judge what we attracted, the things that we take on in fights because they triggered us, have only the effect of creating more of the thing that you're judging in your perception.
It's why it's my favorite scene in the whole Matrix trilogy, or now, what's the word after trilogy with 4? And I think they're making 5, right? You'd know.
Yeah. They
Quadruplets.
The revolutions, and then I can't remember the last
There's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, in the first one, when he's running away from the agent, as everybody does, they say run. And of course, there's a moment there where he started to glimmer his possibility, and they're in the subway station, and he just kind of like does this, and the dust comes off his shoulder.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like
I remember that.
And he's inviting, resistance. And so anyway, eventually he runs and he opens the door. And Smith is standing right there with the gun. And then, of course, in true Hollywood celluloid drama, everything slows down and it's like, poof, poof, and he's getting shot. And he falls against the wall and the blood smears down as he slides. And, of course, it's so beautiful because Trinity, his love interest, is back on the Nebuchadnezzar, and he's dying, and they're seeing all of his vital signs reflecting his death, which to me is really that perfect symbology of the egoic death, right? And then it's only through love that she says, I love you, now get up. And so that he comes back. And at that moment, when the agents fire bullets, he literally puts his hand up.
And they all stop. And then he drops.
Because that's not in his reality anymore.
Yep.
Because there's no him there that is living in, as we discussed earlier, the primordial illusion of separation that has with it, by extension, fear.
Yeah, he's no longer choosing to take the input stimulus of the illusion.
Yeah.
And he's able to transcend it. I think the whole reason why we're here is to learn how to love and how to be loved. And it's actually super simple. But it's also the only way we can accomplish it is by knowing ourselves, which is the hardest thing we'll ever do. And, I came to the conclusion last summer, I would say, that someone asked me what enlightenment was. And I just answered, I said, it's when our expression of love supersedes and exceeds our desire for one objective truth. I no longer have to be right. Rather, I'm just going to choose love. And that was such a big thing, because I didn't want to then be triggered anymore by this illusion. So it's sort of like this. And the concept of Trinity, I think, is such a great metaphor too, because Trinity represents the divine aspect. Once we understand the divine aspect, a lot of people don't know that the square root of 2, which represents the essence of duality, plus the square root of 3, the essence of the Trinity, or the divinity within us. When you add the 2 together, they equal pi. Full circle. So suffering from duality and separation and judgment becomes whole when we finally understand what the notion of the square root of 3 is, the Trinity. And when you then look at it and say, okay, if the square root of 2 is lead and suffering, then if I look at the full circle, what percentage of that circle is going to be represented by the square root of 2 when adding square root of 2 and the square root of 3 equals pi, or its close approximation for pi. And what I found was that the amount of the circle that becomes the suffering or the difficulty or the lead turns out to be 161.816 degrees, which is a double phi palindrome. 161, 1618 is the golden ratio. So by having the context of the Trinity, lead turns into gold. The suffering, all the difficulty, then we can transmute all those things that when we didn't realize we were doing it, we don't even remember the easy teachers in school. We remember the hard ones.
Right.
We remember the hard situations, the teachers that pushed us or the coaches that pushed us the most.
Yeah.
We would not come here to choose a simple experience. We would choose the one that's going to grow us the most.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what we're doing. And thank you for your work to help people to see that, because I think it's such a beautiful thing when we can start to see ourselves and remember who we are and why we're here.
Yeah.
And fall back into this, I'm here to learn love.
Ultimately.
And that's also an acceptance in and of itself.
And it includes all of the part of us that we don't love. And that's the real challenge.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Learn to love it all. People say, how do we escape Earth? And I'm like, dude, you don't escape Earth. The way that you transcend and move forward in this game to the next level, just as you said, everyone should want to go to the next level, is by learning to fall in love with it just as it is, entirely and completely.
Yeah.
And once we do, because we learn through opposites. You know, if I'm here to learn unconditional love, I'm going to experience over and over and over again in my lifetime. My program is going to include a lot of experiences of experiencing conditional love until I no longer judge negatively the conditionality of love.
Yeah.
And once I finally accept that, it's tantamount to me accepting all these aspects of myself that maybe I don't consciously accept, or maybe I consciously or unconsciously don't accept about myself. But once I finally do, then that's when I can finally start to express love in a way that supersedes my desire to be right. And that, I think, is such a powerful transcendence of turning the earth into the paradise that it can be. And the only obstacles that are real in this life are the ones that we persistently believe.
Yeah.
So if we change the viewpoint, that's what I believe, of what is possible, then the world changes.
It's one of my favorite quotes by Proust. He said, "The journey of true discovery lies not in finding new lands, but in looking through new eyes."
That's beautiful. The journey is, it's Proust, right?
Yeah.
So Proust. Yeah, I have a whole book of his stuff. So say it again. The journey
Of true discovery lies not in finding new lands, but in looking through new eyes.
Well said. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you. It's
Very
great to be
profound.
with you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
We'll see you next time on Think Tank.